Thank you. noise of mobiles going off during the service itself. For those of you who may not know it, there are bathrooms, ladies and gents, up here to my left, just at the top here, not too far away. After the service, Leslie and the girls kindly invite you all to stay on. There will be refreshments and drinks available after the service, and all of the bitings, I believe, have been prepared by all of Eamon's proteges, all the chefs, I believe. So that's after the service. We now wait for Leslie to arrive, and then we can commence. Thank you. Well, just one other thing, just so that you know, especially for those viewers online, and I think they're online already, because of copyright issues with YouTube, there are various recordings that will be played during the service. These are not allowed transmitted live to those viewing overseas or wherever they may be. Instead, during that period, while they will be transmitted live to us here, and that includes my own song, the viewers online will unfortunately just have to listen to a little bit of generic, uncopyrighted Irish music while we continue. So for those of you who are online, sorry about that, but don't go away. We're still here. Thank you very much. Welcome to all of you on this very special occasion, this memorial and celebration of Eamon's life. We are going to kick off, before we listen to the eulogy, we are going to start off with some music. Now, Eamon loved his music. As you all know, I'm looking in front of me and seeing all of Eamon's friends here. I know so many people here, and I know we've all interacted with Eamon at some stage in our lives, and we will miss him so much. But this first recording is Whiter Shade of Pale.
We skipped a light fandango, turned cartwheels across the floor. I was feeling kind of seasick, but the crowd called out for more. The room was humming harder as the ceiling flew away. When we called out for another drink,
Eamon go right back to my first arrival in Kenya, 1976. I was managing Bruno's Hotel then, and I was doing a function and didn't have enough equipment. And I said, does anybody know where I could find some more dishes? He said, yeah, there's a chef down there by the name of Eamon Mullan. Go and see him. And I did, and I went down to see him. And lo and behold, Eamon and I worked for the same company in UK. He was a chef. I was on the management side. Actually came across each other. We were in different hotels. But that became the start of a very long, long friendship. But there's lots of information and lots of stories. And for that, I'm going to call on our next presenter is Mr. Stanley Marengi, a long-term friend and colleague of Eamon's. Stanley, the floor is yours for the eulogy. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. As you have been informed, my name is Stanley Marengi. I have been asked by the family of Eamon Mullan to read the eulogy at this occasion, and I feel greatly privileged and honored to play this important role for my departed friend. Choosing me, by the way, was not by coincidence. For I have known Eamon for over 40 years, since when I first met him in 1981 at the Norfolk Hotel, where we both worked for Block Hotels. And we struck a lasting friendship thereon. So firstly, on my own behalf, I bring my hearty condolences and that of my family to you, Leslie, Georgia, Kira, and the wider Mullan's family. More recently, Eamon also interacted with us on a WhatsApp group for former staff and employees of Block Hotels, most of them who have worked with him in various hotels and lodges in Kenya. And they have shared on that platform of WhatsApp many tributes about Eamon. On their behalf, I also bring their messages of condolences to you. Some of them are present here with us, but I'm also sure that many of them are following this event online as it is being streamed live. So allow me, may I now proceed to read the eulogy of the legendary chef Eamon, which has been written by his family. Eamon was born on the 11th of January 1951 to Irish parents. It is in fact quite fitting to celebrate his life today, the 11th of March, which is exactly 2 months after his 71st birthday. He was still only a kijana, as the family states. And as the British rock band Queen said, only the good die young, in their hit song, No One But You. As he has mentioned in chapter 3 of his book entitled Food for the Famous, and I quote, "Sitting in my sun-filled garden, overlooking the vale where African cattle graze, crested cranes nest and ibis blare. I reminisce about how I got here. He wondered how a poor kid born in London ended up in this beautiful country called Kenya. And as Roger Whittaker sang, My land is Kenya, despite his Irish blood and English upbringing, Eamon was a true Kenyan. Born in Middlesex Hospital to parents Anne Kennelly from Galway and Joseph Mullan of Londonderry, let us pause for a quick story and let's be honest. This wouldn't be a fitting eulogy for Eamon without adding the odd story. Eamon's father was called Joe. However, on the way to the christening, his parents could not remember if they had chosen to name him Joseph Leo or Leo Joseph. They decided he be called Leo Joseph. Ironically, he was always known as Joe. Seems like humor obviously was in the Mullan DNA. Mr. Mullan Sr., and in this case, it might be easier to call him so to avoid the above-mentioned confusion. Mr. Mullan Sr. was by trade a painter and decorator. In those days, it was hard to source materials. However, he had the Mullan gift of the gab, and miraculously, materials found their way into his possession. He set up with a gang of other Irish guys who work in the upmarket area of northwest London. All work carried out was paid for in cash. Eamon's early years began in Kilburn, London, where he attended a private school with his older sister, Valerie, who has traveled all the way from the UK and is with us here today with her dear husband, Bill. However, the luxuries soon ended when the taxman finally caught up with Mr. Mullan Sr. The family then moved to Corby in Northamptonshire to start their next chapter. Eamon attended a Catholic school where Mass was compulsory every Thursday, which he claimed became a pain as he got older. At the age of 8, he approached the priest of his church about becoming an altar boy. The priest informed him that there was no vacancies and to return the following year. He never did. And from that day on, he lost any interest in the Catholic Church. He had many friends from an early age who remained lifelong friends, whom he visited on his trips to England and who in turn visited Eamon and his family in Kenya. One of his former classmates became a police officer who has been known to arrest some of their other classmates. As was a theme in Eamon's life, his friends were always loyal to him. He moved to a comprehensive school where he did well, but became restless and started to question the nuns. Apparently, the nuns favored the kids who gave the answers they wanted to hear. But as we all know, this was not Eamon's style. He disliked people without a backbone and was the first student in the school to receive 6 strokes of the cane. At the tender age of 13, he started his first job as a newspaper delivery boy for a newspaper run by a Scottish guy called Davy. 2 years on, he was the head paper boy. Davy cheated customers by selling old magazines, which is when Eamon decided to get in on the action. Never one to miss a trick. School was never a pastime enjoyed by Eamon. After getting into trouble and being told by the nuns that he would end up in jail, and despite being a Catholic, Eamon was not religious. His family recently received a tribute from a former Block Hotel secretary, which is too funny not to share, and epitomized Eamon's view on this, and I quote, "He used to abuse me when I would share Christ with him." At the age of 16, having left school with 1 O-level in art, Eamon began playing football for Blackpool Football Club in the English Premier League. During this time, he was living in a boarding house where curfew was 10:30 p.m. Eamon saw this as a challenge and would leave his bedroom window open and climb up the drain pipe after a night out. Sadly, for the football industry, but to the gain of culinary industry, his luck ran out when Blackpool's manager suspended him for 3 months for disobeying the rules. Heading home to the wrath of his father, his future looked bleak with only 1 O-level to his name. This is when fortune gave him a helping hand. And maybe fortune knew that one helping hand to him would be extended to thousands during his lifetime. As luck would have it, Eamon bumped into an old friend who was a chef. The lure of his job was that accommodation was included, and bang, Eamon was sold. In 1967, he started a 4-year apprenticeship at the Welcome Hotel in Stratford-upon-Avon, which was part of the British Transport Hotel Group. His first role was as a commis chef, with no knowledge about cooking, but armed with Mrs. Beaton's cookbook, kindly provided by his older sister, Valerie. His first shift started at 5:10 p.m. and was the hardest part of his life, being made to peel a crate of apples. And by the end of the day, his wrists hurt so badly, and he thought he would never cope in the kitchen. But in the true Eamon style, he did not let that set him back. The head chef was Tom Brewer, who was a role model for Eamon. He was old school and did not stand any nonsense, and discipline was paramount in the kitchen. I'm sure that all of Eamon's chefs are inwardly smiling, knowing that this was exactly the same style Eamon used in the kitchens. Tom Brewer later became a very good friend of Eamon's. During his time there, he enrolled in the South Warwickshire College for further education to undertake various city and guilds qualifications on day release courses, which in Eamon's words, he did not find difficult. The principal, Mr. Payton, took a shine to Eamon, and often when teaching staff were absent, he instructed Eamon to conduct the classes. This was before Eamon had even finished his apprenticeship at the Welcome Hotel and studies at the Said College. During this time, Eamon was also playing football for Alveston's first team in the Stratford Premier League. He was also making friends and learning lessons that would last a lifetime. Glenn Hughes, a dedicated pastry chef and a father figure to Eamon, taught him about the pastry department. Many chefs then and now are not keen to learn about this side of the kitchen, but with his hunger for learning, Eamon became a great pastry chef. Eamon entered his first cooking competition at the age of 17. He won 2 gold medals and 1 silver medal. He worked through the nights for this not to interfere with his day job. Once an executive head chef himself, he actively encouraged his chefs to enter competitions and would allow them time during the day to practice dishes. At the age of 19, Eamon won the Midlands Junior Chef competition and entered the Chef of the Year competition at Hotel Olympia in Halscourt Square in London. He came third, but family believed that he should have won, as did one of the other judges who was overruled. He appreciated the judge's constructive feedback, but despite this, and in true Eamon style, he returned the medal and possibly uttered some colorful language. Another monumental occurrence at the age of 19 was the meeting of his future wife, partner of 53 years, and his loyal cheerleader, Leslie. After 4 years, the apprenticeship was over. Eamon was offered positions in England, but his dream was to ply his trade in France. The Negresque Hotel in Nice was the one hotel that interested him the most. Having rejected him twice already for not speaking French, he tried his luck 1/3 time, and with the luck of the Irish on his side and a little white lie, he became the first British chef to work in the kitchen. Sadly, once his lack of knowledge of the French language became known to the manager and chef, he was asked to leave immediately. However, Eamon, being Eamon, reported on duty the next morning at 7 a.m. This was the start of a tough 7 months of 15-hour days and weeks without a day off. He was soon known as L'Anglaise, which indicated that he had been accepted into the kitchen. After the summer season at the Negresco came to an end, Eamon headed back to the Welcome. a decision he instantly regretted as he felt the hotel was stagnant and not moving in the direction he would have liked. Chefs who know Eamon will know that he was always ahead of time. In 1973, Eamon and Leslie packed their bags, headed to Scotland for a summer season at Glen Eagles Hotel. Glen Eagles is famous for the glorious 12th, which is the start of the shooting season for red grouse. Green around the ears, but keen to enhance his knowledge, Eamon learned very quickly on his 4th day how to skin a deer. When two dubious characters brought the deer into the kitchen, still dripping in blood. Being the only one in the kitchen, he had no choice but to give it a go. Paul Rogerson, the sous chef at the time, later wrote in his book that it was the greatest kitchen brigade he had ever worked with, and Eamon agreed. The team was young, eager to learn, and pushed to their limits, right up Eamon Street. When Glen Eagles closed for winter, Eamon and Leslie were on their next adventure, and this time to Germany. A little side note here, before his departure, the head chef of Glen Eagles, Cameron Stewart, formed a club called Chef of Chefs for those who had completed the season. And it is no surprise that Eamon was part of this, and he was very honored to be part of this prestigious group. Having been handpicked to work at the Frankfurterhof in Frankfurt, he was promoted 3 times during his 5 months there. The kitchen was a tough kitchen and too regimented for Eamon. Despite being offered a permanent position, once his season was up, he was happy to leave and equally happy to treasure the knowledge he acquired during his time there. Despite many job offers, including one to be sous chef at the Caledonian Hotel in Edinburgh, Eamon was determined to return to France. This time, the young couple headed to Lodz to work in the Hotel de la Providence, where Eamon was offered this role of sous chef. In his own words, he was running the place, as the head chef, or as Eamon called him, Fatso, was inept. Eamon realized that he wanted to grow, learn, and be respected in his profession, a realization that, due to hard work and dedication, came true. Again, despite being offered a job at Claridge's in London, Eamon's journey took him to the warmer climate of Jamaica as sous chef at the Round Hill Hotel in Montego Bay. The kitchen brigade there was unlike any he had worked with before, and he certainly had his work cut out. He stated about the chefs and kitchen staff, "They were no great sheikhs, but were fantastic characters," he said. This fitted Eamon's style to a T. Eamon was known to hire for character and not talent. The head chef would often stroll into the kitchen at 10 a.m., leaving Eamon to create the menus and run the kitchen, while at the tender age of 23, he thoroughly enjoyed the Caribbean life. Once this season ended, the next chapter of his life would be the one to take him to his beloved country that he would forever call home, Kenya. The luck of the Irish was again on his side, and he was in the right place at the right time. When, upon his return to England from Jamaica, he walked into an agency and was told, "I have just the job for you in Nairobi, Kenya." This was certainly a fateful moment in his life. Eamon and Leslie were to relocate in the next 2 weeks and were married within 10 days and arrived in Kenya for a 1-year contract. They decided to call this 1 year their honeymoon. Not many people can say their honeymoon lasted 47 years. However, he resigned after 3 days because the salary stated in his contract upon arrival was different to the one he had been promised initially. Again, Eamon put up a fight, and it was rectified. Tony Elliott, the general manager at the New Stanley Hotel then, stated, and I quote, "You had bloody better be worth it. That was Tony Elliott, I think, for those who remember Tony Elliott. And guess what? Eamon definitely proved this and more. So started a new era for Kenya. Eamon undertook various roles in Nairobi, starting off as the sous chef at the New Stanley Grill Room, and then setting up the famous Backers Club, before being persuaded to take on the role of executive chef of the Norfolk Hotel. During these years, Eamon was group executive chef, which meant extensive travel to various lodges, including Sindbad Hotel in Malindi, Nyali Beach Hotel in Mombasa, Kick Rock Lodge in the Masai Mara, Outspan Hotel and the Treetops Lodge in Nyeri, Samburu Lodge and the Coral Strand Hotel in the Seychelles. During the 1980s, the Ibis Grill was voted third out of the top 10 restaurants worldwide by the magazine Condé Nast. Despite his professional achievements, it was clear that the arrival of his two daughters were his greatest moments. Georgia was born in June of 1983, and Kira completed the family in October of 1985. Leslie and the girls would often visit Eamon in his kitchens and eat his delicious food. This is a credit to Leslie, always helping Eamon and never distracting him from his work. Instead, taking his family to his workplaces to show him the continuous support that his three greatest fans were never far away. Eamon became a proud grandfather in July of 2020 when his first and only granddaughter was born to parents Georgia and Marty in Queensland, Australia. Eamon sadly never managed to meet her. However, due to modern-day technology, she was happy to wave to Granddad Chef over the FaceTime. A chef's life is long hours, and it is one that changes family life dynamic. Leslie had only ever known Eamon as a chef, and therefore was accustomed to the life of a chef's wife. Eamon was grateful for encouragement towards his career, the running of the family home, and being a fantastic mother to both his daughters. Eamon, in fact, once told Kira, "Your mom is the best mom I could ever have asked for, you too." A big thank you to Leslie must be acknowledged, for her support allowed Eamon to fulfill his achievements, which in turn changed many lives along the way. A constant in the family's life is Penina, who stood by the family for 34 years, and Penina is sitting here with us. She'll be introduced later. Despite cooking for the many famous people in his time, in 1983, he was bestowed the great honor of cooking for Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II. He cooked for many royals and famous celebrities thereafter. However, being photographed and appearing on the front page of the Standard newspaper with Her Majesty was not only a testament to the caliber of Chef Eamon, but it was also a proud moment for him personally. When Block Hotels was sold to the Lonrol Group, Eamon continued his role as group chef, executive chef, and he often traveled upcountry to oversee work at the Aberdare Country Club, the Ark, and Mount Kenya Safari Club. His family would often join him for weekends in order to spend as much time as possible with him. Mount Kenya was their farm favorite due to the animal orphanage where they had made a farm friend with Max the chimpanzee. Again, despite many challenges and setbacks, Eamon continued to grow in the industry, but ensured he was never left behind. Continuous travel to further his knowledge was undertaken to establishments such as the Ritz in London, Mandarin Oriental in Bangkok, and Raffles in Singapore, amongst many others. He even approached Mr. Wang of Wang Restaurant, which was a street kitchen restaurant, but also the best Chinese restaurant in Singapore, to ask if he could spend 2 days learning in his kitchen. Austere Mr. Wang thought that this crazy Irishman was not all there, but agreed. After 2 hard days, Eamon left, having been accepted into the kitchen. It was a success, as according to his daughter Kira, his youngest daughter, He made the best Chinese food she has ever tasted. Eamon resigned from Block Hotels 3 times, however, was persuaded to stay each time. Deep down, Eamon was relieved, as he never wanted to really leave Kenya, the one and only country he truly felt at home in. Block Hotels was the one company he truly enjoyed working for. Eamon was a man of his word, and the Block family shared the same value. This went a long way for Eamon, and he remained firm friends with the family even after the company was sold. If you have read his book or his autobiography, you will agree that everything he achieved was phenomenal. He was a one-man band, and during the Lone Hotels and Metropolitan years, he had no backing from management or funding for his kitchen equipment, and all chefs were made to buy their own uniforms. But despite all this, he wanted to do what he did best, and that was to serve restaurant guests with meals they would talk about for many years to come, which they certainly do. Eamon spent his last working years at the Fairview Hotel, where he continued to do what he did best, transforming any hotel into a top-class establishment. Wherever Eamon went, the crowds would follow. He was a bit of a trendsetter. Excuse me, beg your pardon. This was not due to luck, but due to sheer dedication, hard work, talent, and passion. Eamon did not simply cook beautiful meals. He created magical works of art and tantalizing experiences. What Eamon did not know about cooking was not worth knowing. In his 47 years in Kenya and 55 years in the culinary industry, he transformed taste buds, changed lives, and was a breath of fresh air to all kitchens he worked in. He forgot more about cooking than most chefs of today know. Eamon's passion was training and mentoring youngsters, especially young Kenyans, to give them a helping hand and a chance in life. His love was cooking, but selflessly helping people was what really put the fire in his belly. The Mullan's boys, as they like to call themselves, are working around the globe, impacting the culinary scene, and I'm sure bringing their cheeky charm to the kitchen, just as their mentor did. Eamon single-handedly put Kenya on the culinary roadmap, gained respect from his peers and chefs, and was a well-loved and respected member of his community. His love for cooking and mentoring the young continued well into his retirement. He was constantly wanting to learn and eager to share his knowledge. He believed that the only payment needed was for his chefs to keep passing the lessons down the line. With no pun intended, his life was truly one of service. Eamon was unique, and even after his departure, the culinary industry is still learning from him through his chefs, who have set up training courses and are keeping their promise to never let his legacy fade away. He was funny, kind, generous, compassionate, and always had time for people. There was always time for a story, a delicious meal, and as his chefs and family will testify, always time for advice to be given. What a character he was. One of a kind, completely irreplaceable, and a true old-school modern-day hero. He touched so many lives and will be missed by so many, none more so than Leslie, Georgia, and Kira. Eamon's presence will be missed, but what a legacy he leaves behind. He most certainly made this world a better place, without a shadow of doubt. He was a rare chef of chefs. I will leave you with a question to reflect on by the late Martin Luther King, which in Eamon's life, the answer is self-explanatory. And I quote, "Life's most persistent and urgent question is, what are you doing for others? Fare thee well till we meet again." Thank you.
Thank you, Stanley. A lovely eulogy and well written. Thank you very much. May I now take this opportunity to call upon Kelly Bell, who will speak on behalf of the Kenya Irish Society. Thank you, Kelly.
Good afternoon. On behalf of the Kenya Irish Society, we offer our condolences and love to Leslie, Georgia, Kira, Penina, Valerie, Bill, and the extended family. We'd also like to take this opportunity to express our thanks and gratitude to both Eamon and Leslie for their commitment and service to the Irish Society over a lengthy period of time. Today, I'm going to read you a poem by an unknown author, which is called The Station. Life is like a journey on a train with its stations, change of routes, differing scenes, and accidents. At birth, we board the train and met our parents, and we believed they would always travel at our side. However, at some station down the line, our parents stepped off, leaving the train and us alone to continue on our own. As time passed, other people boarded the train, and they were significant: siblings, friends, children, and even the love of your life. Many will step down and leave a permanent vacuum. Others will go so unnoticed that we didn't realize that they had vacated their seats. This train ride will be full of joy, sorrow, fantasy, expectations, hellos, goodbyes, and farewells. Success consists of having a good relationship with all the passengers, requiring that we give the best of ourselves. The mystery to everyone is, we don't know at which station we ourselves will be asked to step off. So we must live in the best way, love and laugh, and offer the best of whom we are. It is important to do this for ourselves and for others, because when the time comes for us to exit, leaving our seat empty, we should leave behind beautiful memories for those who will continue riding the train of life without us. I wish you a joyful journey for the remaining years on the train of life. Reap success, give lots of love, and be happy. More importantly, be thankful for your journey. Lastly, we thank Eamon for being one of our passengers. We will always carry happy memories in our hearts. Erin Gobra. Thank you very much.
This is a song that many people have sung. I've sung it many times, but not enough for Eamon, because every time we would be in concert or any sort of a social gathering and I had a guitar in my hand and was singing, Eamon would be saying, "Come on, Michael, where's the fields of Athenry? Please, please, please." And when Leslie asked me if I would be willing to sing at this special Memorial Day, I told her quite honestly, I am delighted and honoured to do so. And as I sing it, I will have Eamon in my mind and in my head. I can remember him so well. It's called The Fields of Athenry. By lonely prison walls, I heard a young man calling, Michael, they have taken you away, for you stole Trevelyan's corn, that the young might see the morn. Now a prison ship lies waiting in the bay. Lo, lie the fields of Athenry, where once we watched the small three birds fly. Our love was on the wing, we had dreams and songs to sing. It's so lonely round the fields of Athenry. By a lonely prison wall, I heard a young man calling. Nothing matters, Mary, when you're free. Against the famine and the crown, I rebelled, they cut me down. Now you must raise our child with dignity. Sing along with me. Lo, lie the fields of Athenry, where once we watched the small free birds fly. Our love was on the wing, we had dreams and songs to sing. It's so lonely round the fields of Athenry. By a lonely harbour wall, she watched the last stars falling, as that driven ship sailed out across the sky. For she lived in hope and prayed for her love in Botany Bay. It's so lonely round the fields of Athenry. Sing with me, please. Lo, lie the fields of Athenry, where once we watched the small free birds fly. Our love was on the wing, we had dreams and songs to sing. It's so lonely round the fields of Athenry. It's so lonely round the fields of Athenry. Thank you. Now, may I call on Leslie to say a few words.
To think that Eamon and I nearly didn't meet at all those years ago in 1969. How grateful I am that we did. And to think he almost left the New Stanley Hotel before he even got started there. In true Eamon style, he stayed after standing his ground. How different Kenya would be today if he hadn't graced it with his presence. What a journey we've had together, from arriving in Kenya at a very young age on a 1-year contract, Kenya, the country he fell in love with, and the country that fell in love with him. He hardly wanted to leave Kenya. Almost 47 years later, despite his departure from the physical world, we know his soul is still all around us and will forever remain in Kenya. Eamon and I have 2 beautiful daughters together, and now the most gorgeous and feisty granddaughter. I wonder where she gets that from. When I get to meet her, I'll give her a big hug from Grandad Chef. She would have twisted him around her little finger. Eamon was so artistic and creative in his cooking and presentation, but he loved nothing more than simple, good old cottage pie, steak and kidney pie, and steak and chips. And my burnt steak must have driven him crazy, but that's how I liked it. People who know Eamon, and there are simply hundreds who've messaged, know of his strong spirit, his kindness, and the help he provided to a multitude of young Kenyans who followed in his footsteps to become great chefs. He loved his lads, as he called them. Georgia, Kira, and I loved them too. They loved, admired, and respected Eamon in return. Eamon changed so many lives. Hundreds of people remember his work ethic and his discipline, which enabled these lives to be changed. I'm grateful to have spent so many years with Eamon. We had a lot of fun and laughs, as his canny Irish sense of humour was cheeky, and he could say things to people that others would not have dared to say. It's very hard for us without Eamon now, but we know he'll be regaling others in heaven with his long stories, even the joke about the fridge, which was funny, and even more funny by the time he managed to get to the end of it. We miss his love, his kindness, his humour, his strength. There's no one like Eamon, and never will be. What we shared cannot be replicated. Our relationship was strong and special. No matter what the circumstances, we were always there for each other. We made a great team. We even finished each other's sentences, even if it took Eamon slightly longer to get to the end of his. My love for Eamon never ceased and never will until we meet again.
Thank you, Leslie. And now, if technology is with us, we are going to hand over to Georgia for a video tribute. Are we going to see Georgia on screen?
Hi everyone, this is Emily and Matty, and unfortunately we are unable to be there today, which is heartbreaking, but we are there in spirit. Emily, would you like to say hi to everybody?
Hi.
Hi. Say bye everybody.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Come on.
On the 21st of February, the world lost one of the kindest souls. Lost my dad, or as he always wanted us to call him, Daddy. To my darling Daddy, I will miss you so much, more than you will ever know. You and I had a very special bond. I will cherish all the memories and make sure that you live on through Emily May and that she knows about you and what an amazing life that you led. She is a cheeky little girl, just like you, and I wish you had met her, but COVID changed the world as we knew it. I used to chat to Dad every Thursday afternoon. He would never deviate from that time or day, as he never wanted to interfere with my family life. He always thought of others first. Before I had Emily, it was on my way back from Brisbane on my 2-hour commute, and thereafter it was during her nap. He would always tell me that he charged his phone Wednesday night so it had a full battery in anticipation of my call and to make sure we could chat for however long we wanted, which is what we did. We just chatted about anything and everything, often putting the world to right. I will miss our chats, Daddy. Dad charging his phone for my call is Dad through and through. He would always make sure that we had anything we wanted, that the storeroom was sufficiently stocked, not with 1 bottle of something, but 2 or 3 just in case. He never let petrol get half empty in the car in case the pumps ran dry. He always looked out for us and was such a thoughtful man. The last time we were in Kenya, he met Matty, which I am forever grateful for, as they got on so well, and Matty now has an idea of what my upbringing entailed. During our visit, Matty asked Dad if he could marry me, which made Dad cry. I am grateful for modern technology, where I was able to share my life in Australia, and for him to know Emily May through the videos and photos I sent. Dad used to work long hours when I was growing up. We often used to go to the Norfolk for lunch or an early dinner so we could spend some time with him. I did stints in his kitchen, which I loved, so I could spend time with him. I learned a lot from him, and especially in the kitchen, and he was proud of the foodie that I did become. When Dad was not working, some of my fondest memories was of our weekends in Magadi, where we would have what I would call a luxurious picnic with smoked salmon and caviar and champagne. We all used to play pool afterwards, which I loved, and one time I won, and Dad went and got me a trophy and got it engraved, which as a little girl I thought was the best thing ever. Dad working long hours, and at night I used to call the Norfolk if he wasn't home by 10:30 to ask what time he had left, to anticipate what time he would be home, and he would always come and wish me good night and tell me he was home, and that's when I could sleep properly. I also used to spend a lot of time with him watching Chelsea at the weekends, and he would explain to me all the rules, and that's how I became a big football fan, but it was mainly so that I could spend time with my dad. Dad, you were fiercely loyal, and your family meant everything to you, and I know today that wherever you are, you will be watching down on us, and you will always be by our side. I often sit here and wonder where you are right now. Thank you for everything you did for us. We appreciate it beyond belief, and we appreciate you. You had the biggest heart, you were a gentle, sensitive soul, the most caring and thoughtful person there was, and the nicest, warmest smile. You were a unique person. Thank you for picking us up from pavement on a Friday night at 2 a.m. most Fridays when we were 16. I certainly won't be letting Emily go to nightclubs at 16 until 2 a.m. or nightclubs full stop. But thank you for looking after us and for encouraging us to do whatever we wanted and to be so proud and happy for us. You gave us endless possibilities, and from that, I thank you from the bottom of my heart. There is a huge hole in my heart and always will be, and I miss you terribly. But I am so grateful that we FaceTimed this Saturday before you left us, and Emily was making you smile and waving at you. I wish my last hug with you wasn't 3 years ago, but until we meet again, know that I love you so, so, so much, always and forever. Fly high, Daddy.
What moving words. Thank you, Georgia. Thank you so much, and such cherished memories for sharing with us. Now, we're going to have some music, and again, one of Eamon's favorite songs is called Up Where We Belong. And now we have video tributes from some of Eamon's peers, and we are going to revert now to the technology and Eamon's peers.
Eamon was a remarkable human being. He was a dedicated husband, father, and loyal friend to all of us who knew him. I first met Eamon at the Oriental Hotel in Bangkok in 1986, when Eamon was a guest chef of the hotel. I enjoyed his sense of humour and openness, and soon we had a connection which would lead to a lifetime friendship for us both. In 1991, I was invited by Eamon to conduct a pastry workshop at the Norfolk Hotel in Nairobi. He was extremely supportive, going out of his way to make things happen, helping me meet the expectations set for the training. I particularly enjoyed the quiet moments where Eamon and I would unwind after an evening service to have a quiet cold beer at the Ibis restaurant, where Eamon would share his witty stories with me. Some years later, Eamon visited me at the Raffles Hotel in Singapore during the Millennium Food and Wine Festival. He had not changed. He was still charismatic in his cheerful self. Eamon was fearless and forever curious, being open to learning new trends and culinary techniques, which he could then share and bring back this newfound knowledge to his chefs at the hotel. Eamon was dedicated to his craft. He was a pioneer for the culinary industry in Kenya and instrumental in supporting many future culinarians to reach their full potential, giving them opportunities which were not present before his introduction to the country. For these talented protégés, his legacy lives on. Eamon was also a football fanatic, an accomplished football player who shared a love and passion for the same soccer team, Chelsea Football Club, which was never far from our regular conversations. I shall miss my dear friend. He made me laugh, and I was always there to help me figure things out, listen to me when I was upset, and cheer me up when I was down. His positive energy and no-nonsense approach were infectious. He was, after all, so unique, a culinary legend of our time, one I was blessed to have known. Rest in peace, my friend.
Good morning, friends. Let's take a few moments to remember Eamon Mullan, a chef, a friend and mentor, a leader, and a caring person. Eamon was an incredible friend and colleague, and I consider myself lucky to have been part of his life. When I heard of Eamon's death, I started to reflect what he meant to his family, his friends, his colleagues. Eamon will be missed. And what a great legacy he left behind. Not only was he a devoted husband to Leslie and father of his two daughters, but Eamon can rightly be called the godfather of a young generation of Kenyan chefs. Eamon took a great interest, and it was his passion, to develop and mentor young people in the hospitality industry of Kenya, who with his training and his advice often went on to greater and better things. He sent us some amazing young chefs. David and Sam spring to mind, who then worked at the Savoy and became very valuable members of staff. What a great and illustrious career he had, culminating in the executive chef at the Norfolk Hotel. I met and got to know Eamon when we did a Savoy week at the Norfolk Hotel in 1999. I was impressed by his commitment to his staff and the skills he passed on to them. We got to know his family and the country on a holiday afterwards. And I've never forgotten the friendliness and the generous hospitality of the Kenyan people. There are only a few times in our lives that we are lucky enough to find a true friend. Eamon was one of them. In his heart, he was always the kid of Irish parents from London who done good. The man who cooked with the best, played with the best, sadly has gone now, but he never will be forgotten.
Morning, I'm Chef Gary Lane, and I am having something to say from Ghana, Accra. This is a very sad day. We are all working. However, across Ghana, all of those people and chefs which knew Eamon are walking around with a very, very sad heart right now. We have 2 to 3 Kenyan chefs here, and they are very, very, very sad, and I'm sure they're going to do something as well. This is 2 minutes just to say, 1 minute just to say, Eamon, you are my best friend. You will always be my best friend. I am so upset and sad to see you pass on, to go and cook for the boys upstairs, and to you and Billy to be able to be together again and do a meal. But I will see you soon, my brother. But what I'm going to miss most of all from you is your stories, your ventures, your incredible heart, and what you've done, not only for the people and the chefs of Kenya, but for everybody. You lit up everybody's hearts. And you know what? It's going to be very difficult to fill your shoes, my brother. Go well and rest. I love you. You take it easy, Eamon. Bye.
Habari zenyu. I know we are all sad because of the loss of Ian Mullan, who was a friend, a colleague, and a star. He's a living legend. And from Ghana, I would like to say that I'm one of the Kenyan chefs that are working here in Ghana. We have about 3 of us, and we'd just like to be part of the memorial service and say that we are very sorry for your loss. And in Ghana, we say it in a different way. Thank you. That is from Ghanaians that I'm working with here. We are very sorry for your loss, and we are hoping that his spirit lives on. We really respected Mullan for his prowess in the culinary industry, and he has built not only Kenya but Africa as a whole. Thank you.
Hello everyone, on this rather sad occasion. My name is Anton Mosiman from London. Eamon was a fantastic friend, a good supporter, and an excellent ambassador to our industry. He done so much for young people as chefs. One event I remember very well, we cooked together in Johannesburg, 10,000 hamburgers for children from Soweto. What an experience it was. I will never forget it. Eamon, rest in peace. I miss you very much. Condolences to Leslie and her family. Best wishes to all of you.
It's from some very, very, very famous chefs. The last one, Anton Mosiman, master chef of the world. And to have him here with us today giving that tribute is just an example of the respect that has been held for Eamon and his life. Now, I would like to call upon another 4 chefs. These chefs are all here today, are all taught by their mentor, by their godfather, Eamon, and could we call upon the chefs now to give their tribute? Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name's Timothy Cairo. It's an honor to be here this afternoon to celebrate the life of a very, very important man, my chef and our chef. I met Mr. Mullan in 1991. I was a very young boy. I was about 19 years old. I just finished school, and I didn't know what to do after finishing school. So then I was privileged to have gotten an opportunity to go to his kitchen and train as a chef. I did stay there for about 6 years, and we learned a lot in that kitchen. For those 6 years that I worked there, I was also very privileged to travel around the world. I think I did about 8 or 9 foreign trips. I think you can only be a government official to be that lucky, but I was the lucky ones. And in those trips, we learned a lot. We went for competitions. We won several medals. In my cabinet at home, I've got like 3 gold, a silver, a bronze, all over from UK, South Africa, and Dubai. After working with him for 6 years, he called me one afternoon and told me, "Tim, I want you to resign." I said, "What?" And in those days, we never used to say anything. It was, "Yes, chef." But I don't know why I'm resigning. He said, "You've got to go." So I didn't even know how to write a resignation letter. I'd never resigned before. So he actually helped me draft my own resignation to him. And I took it to the HR. HR called him and he said, "One of your guys is leaving." And he's like, "Let him go. It's no problem." The GM called him after a few minutes and said, "You see, Eamon, you let your guys go and now we're going to our competitor." He's like, "No problem, Richard. Let him go." So I came with my clearance form. I gave to all the head of departments. So when I gave it to him, he actually pulled a drawer and gave me an offer letter. He got me a job in Dubai. He negotiated my contract, my benefits, my salary, everything. And I was to go in 10 days. After 10 days, I was out in the Middle East. I lived there the rest of my 15 years. I ended up being an executive chef for Accor Hotels. And he actually came to visit me twice, just to see how I'm faring on. Even if after leaving, chef still followed up. It didn't matter whether you don't work with him. I mean, who could do that? Only chef. I was also very privileged just to know that he was really very following up on us. He came for my wedding, and I was blessed to have them and Leslie come for my wedding. That's the kind of person Eamon was. In 2012, we were very lucky to do a Thanksgiving dinner for him. And I want to thank all the chefs who were there, who actually helped us plan the event, Leslie, Georgia, and Kira. And we were lucky to tell him, "Thank you, chef," in 2012. And with that dinner, we were able to form a club. We call it Mullan's All Boys Club. And we are a few of us, and we're hoping the young chefs will join us when they retire. What we do, we try to help each other wherever we can. We might not do what he did for us, but the little we can, we really appreciate. The only criteria is you must have worked with him for some time, and you must keep time. You know, you never became late. Even for a few minutes for his appointment, he'll throw you out. But it was good. We really learned a lot from him. I want to take this opportunity to thank the 3 ladies, Leslie, Georgia, and Kira, for making us part of your family. I know you sacrificed a lot because you might have wanted to spend time with him on Christmas and New Year, but he was with us. But because of that, we are here, and I'm who I am today because of your sacrifice. Thank you so much. For this moment, I would like to ask all the chefs here today just to be upstanding just for a few seconds. All the chefs in whites. Thank you. In the count of three, you know those 2 words that we always said. The count of 3, can we shout for the very last time? And we say it. 1, 2, 3. Yes, Chef. You can take your seats. Chef, wherever you are, I believe your spirit is somewhere. I salute you and thank you for making most of us what we are today. May God bless you all. And Chef, rest in peace. Thank you so much.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not as charismatic as Tim Kairu. Him is more of an orator, a freelancer. I managed to do my, to write down my speech. And I think for me, even before I say anything, from my speech, is basically just to thank, Leslie, Georgia, and Kira for the privilege to stand before, these great, people who have come to celebrate Chef, Eamon Mullan. I'm sure there are many people to, in their portfolio to have come maybe to, maybe give a speech, but, me being chosen to come here out of the many people is really an honor, it's a privilege. Thank you very much. A tribute to my mentor, our friend, Chef Eamon Mullan. I first met Chef Mullan 18 years ago. I was young, thick, naive, yet driven by a strong desire to make it in the culinary world. My face-to-face encounter was intimidating and captivating at the same time. I was quick to define myself as a college graduate with overseas training, and his reaction was bullshit. Bunch of wankers. I was taken aback and froze for a moment. Processing my presence in his presence, for a moment I doubted myself. But he had a way of projecting calm and inspired confidence to my shaken demeanor. Right there I realized that there was something unique about him. This marked the beginning of my special relationship with Chef Eamon Mullan. He advised me there and then to drop my college bullshit and open my mind to culinary from the streetwise guru. In retrospect, this is all I needed, and to date, I've never regretted. Chef Mullan was so many things to me, and I believe he was many to us. What I am today, I attribute to him. He was a father figure to me. He helped bring the man in me, grounded me in values of integrity, hard work, professionalism, time value of work, discipline, respect for all, and staying power, akin to a cheetah in pursuit of its prey. Chef Mullan taught me, inspired and mentored in a very interesting way. He had charisma to deliver all these. He knew when to be a friend or a foe. And there was always a lesson to be learned. He knew when to shield you or let you fight your own demons. Good thing there was always a lesson to be learned. He was humorous. His humor was sometimes savage, sometimes dark, sometimes philosophical. It would take you time to get it. He was forthright and morbidly stubborn, but in a nice way. He made sense, and rarely did he make a wrong call. He was a great storyteller and had a great memory. Quick thinker, rebel, mind and personality reader, who always found common ground to establish lifelong relationships. Mine in him was football. He supported his beloved bridge assassins, aka Chelsea, aka Russian dirty money. Chef resented Manchester United with passion. I bet he still does, R.I.P. Chef, Lucky for me, he had a soft spot for my beloved Liverpool. 19 EPL and 6 Champions League, titles. If you know, you know. Isaac, I'm watching you. Yeah. Today we celebrate a culinary icon, though gone but immortalized by his work and impact he had on us and the culinary world. He shaped the culinary landscape in Kenya, and you cannot talk about culinary finesse without his name coming up. To us, he means the undisputed master chef, chefs of chefs, a mentor of many across the industry. We who wear chef whites will remember chef with these phrases. Develop a thick skin like a buffalo. Wake the fuck up. Stop being all over the place. Oi, you lazy fucker. Silly wanker. Are you normal? Let's fucking move. Scatterbrain. Weak spine. Have some character. Don't drop the ball. You reckon? All these phrases were said in good faith to inspire and develop character and a sense of camaraderie and humor among his brigade. As cliche as it sounds, it gave us a sense of invincibility and aura of a warrior. Our life paradigm was developed, and this is why we are who we are. Thank you, Chef. It was an honor and privilege to have served under this great man. I will treasure every moment we had. God bless his soul, R.I.P. Chef. I pray for I pray for strength, peace, and comfort for Leslie, Kira, and Georgie. Go well, Chef. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. That's more like it. My name is Isaac Arunga. I worked with Chef for 17 years. So Oscar, when he says 18, he's lying. I think it's more like 14. Eh? He's added years to his... No. Let's be factual. The first time I met Chef, I went for an interview and he didn't give me the job. So I had to go back again the second time. And on the second time of reckoning is when he gave me my job. And I worked with him for 6 months. And after 6 months, he left Norfolk and moved to Fairview. At Fairview, I think Simon Omasharia called me up and told me to go for an interview with Chef again. And he offered me a job where I worked for another 6 years. During the 6 years, like Timothy said, he took us around the world. I didn't go as much as Timothy. I just managed to go to England, South Africa, Seychelles. Not as much as Timothy, but managed to go to some well-established restaurants. The Ritz, Simpsons, and the Gorin, which are all Michelin starred. After that, I came back to Kenya. And again, the push to go out of the country, Chef, with the help of Matthew, facilitated for me to go to Burj Al Arab, where I worked for 2 years at Al Muntaha, which means the ultimate. And it was the ultimate torture. We really suffered from 8 o'clock in the morning till 12. And when I had time, I sent Eamon and Mullan. I sent him an email, and he'll be like, Isaac, just move your fucking ass, just do it. So I knew I couldn't come back home, so I weathered that and did it for 2 years. When I came back home, because my beautiful wife was having our firstborn daughter, Eamon was there to support me and get me jobs. I got a job at Stanley with the help of Emmanuel. After that, went to Loderil, where I worked for another 2 years. And within those 2 years, Loderil became one of the 14 top restaurants in CNN in 2018. And all these accolades are not mine. I don't think they're all mine. It's because of the training and the background that Chef had put in us and instilled in us. Thereafter, I came to another place. I don't want to say its name. But funny enough, Chef kept track of everything I was doing. Chef kept monitoring, communicating, encouraging. No one else has done that for me during my career. Only him. Other bosses I've had never bothered. Eamon was one special character. I mean, like Oscar said, he hated United, but still, 2008, United won Champions League. So he knows that he was a special man. I don't think anyone will replicate what he's done for Kenyan chefs. The love he had for the Kenyan chefs, the time he spent with Kenyan chefs was immense. To the family for giving us the opportunity to spend time with him was amazing. I'd like to thank the family. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon. My name is Simon Onjao Maina, or Simon Maina, or better known to Chef, the fat fucker. Well, I was a bit big on my previous life. Well, up until a few years ago, I was executive chef of the iconic Intercontinental Hotel. I left a year before COVID and passed on the mantle to Emmanuel Aluda, who's here with us. Emmanuel, please wave. Lucky, I left a year before COVID. Before that, going back, we set up my kitchen now, the Kobe's. We have bakeries in Ruiru and Thika, and we set them up with chef. He'll come inspect the kitchens, and once we are ready, he gave me the go-ahead of resigning. You see, I joined chef in 1999. My parents took me there because, you see, my grandfather was a chef. My dad started out as a chef. My mom was trained as a chef. They did not want me to join the industry. Their plan was for Chef Eamon to shred me down to pieces, which he did. I had dreadlocks back then, Isaac. Please not. I weighed in almost 160 kgs and did not let me in the kitchen until I cut the dreadlocks off. To the surprise of my parents, I shaved them off. You see, I was a problem child, as I was told. I went to 5 high school in 4 years. Until today, I repeat, it wasn't me. They just didn't get me. Chef did. He encouraged us to stand our ground. And it was okay to be different. It got us into trouble more than once. And as a true father, he swept in to the rescue, even busting some of us out of prison with a Green Range KUK, which was not a surprise to spot us on the street rolling with it, if not Kimanzi. We did a VIP event in Naivasha, while at the Norfolk, we catered for 300 VIP guests. The meal package was breakfast, lunch, and dinner. During lunch service, fruits ran out. I refused to hand the dinner fruit allocation. We got to a shouting match with the then food and beverage manager. I won. Clients were happy. The emphasis was food was great. The next day, I was in the HR office being handed a warning letter for insubordination. Chef tore it up and told them to stick it up their ass. There was this competition I messed up. We ended up getting a silver medal after Germany, and I swear Chef never forgot about it. In Rwanda, they brought a gelatin leaf. I never worked with a gelatin leaf. And I'll go, Chef, what's this? And he's like, you fucking fucker, you fucking move. The timber not set. After that scenario, started importing all the crazy stuff not found in Kenya. Foie gras, beluga caviar, frog steaks, and days. We never lost after that. We won so many competitions that we got banned from taking part. JP, does that ring a bell? For competition, you had to prep like you're going to a marathon. We became very good. There was this time we went for a competition, and Jimmy did a milflui wrapped in Jaconde. I swear, until today, that guy, I believe that guy came with that dessert in the pocket. There was no way. There was a time Isaac, Jimmy, and Masharia got into a fight in the streets of Nairobi. One of so many, I lost count. Cops showed up. Masharia and Jimmy were arrested. Those days, Usain Bolt had nothing on Isaac. He was fit then. Next day, Isaac rocks up to work, and we are all working at Pango. Isaac told me as usual. And as usual, I had to break the news to Chef. He got them out, and they had to work their shift. No going home. There was a time I was denied a visa to the UK, and Chef took on the embassy. What balls. He will not stand in for injustice, and will tell off anyone off regardless. At Fairview, we had a kitchen football team, and used to take on the rest of the hotel at break time between 3 and 6 p.m. We won every time, and we'll go back for dinner service and win awards. Later, we'll go for a drink with Chef, and Chef will join us, most probably at Gypsies. The owner of Gypsies is here. And Chef trained one of the boys, Leroy. My vacations. Oh, when he trained you enough, it was time to go, as Timothy said, and my time came, and I was told to resign. I passed on my mantle to Isaac and Masharia. My vacation, my first stop will be his kitchens. He will make a special meal for my wife and I. Every Christmas and New Year's, you'll expect a call. Every 11th of January, I'll always remember to call him. And his phone calls will last for hours. On my wedding day, he brought the cake with the team, and he had made it, and stayed with us until the last moment. His speech on that day, he mentioned that I'll not last in the kitchen. My mind was a businessman. Well, Chef, that came to light also. Did I mention he did my stag night? That will remain forever in wraps. Our last tour, Chef's tour for hunger, were never missed. The last one being in 2011. We are Matthew, at the time representing Abu Dhabi, Isaac, Masharia, Lucas, and Chef Team Kenya, and I was representing Team Mozambique. He recommended me for my last roles and all the other roles that I ever took at the Intercon. He negotiated my salaries and my benefits. There I shined. Later I realized what he'll say to us. Simon, one day my lads will take over Kenya. And boy, did we live up to his words. When Obama came down and my team were picked to cater for him, he was the first one I called. He was Wadzwa, you go Simon. We arranged my exit at Intercon for years. He inspected the kitchen at Kobe's and suggested some changes, which he did. Our guys are trained from scratch, the true Mullan's way. Our baker was a gardener. Our head chef was once an electrician. He touched my daughter's heart. Till now, I have not had the courage to break the news that Chef rested. He will spoil her with candy, chocolate, and remembered his glass bowl with a smile, and the promise he made to her to marry her. I'll miss you, Chef. Thank you for the friendship, the mentorship, and the memories. You're truly one of a kind.
What tributes. If we can pass from this world, leaving behind such a legacy and such tributes, we'd be very, very lucky. Would you please give all these chefs another round of applause. Well done, guys. You carry on the legacy yourselves now. Go on to another of Eamon's favorite songs, and this one is Sailing. Kira for her own special words. Thank you, Kira.
To my dearest and darling Daddy, known to most as Eamon, to Penina as Bwana, to the lads as Chef, to Amley as Grandad Chef, to Mum as Aim, but I know the name you were most proud of was the one Georgia and I called you, Daddy. The world lost a true hero when you left us, but our loss is heaven's gain. And I pray and hope that wherever you are safe and know how missed you are on earth. The earth that is so much less bright without your presence. You were only small, as you stated in your book, 5'7". I am convinced that you became a chef so that the hat gave you added height. But you were larger than life, with a presence that commanded a room and a heart that was made of gold. You didn't have one bad bone in your body. You were kind, loving, supportive, giving, compassionate, and generous. I only just heard a story last week about you helping a cyclist who was injured on the side of a road a few years ago. You did things for people, Daddy, without publicising them. A man of true integrity, high morals, and values. You selflessly helped so many young Kenyans achieve their dreams of becoming great chefs. You also taught them about life. As one mentioned to me only last week, he taught me about life. Cooking was secondary. Their appreciation was shown to you in 2012 when they surprised you by throwing the Eamon Mullan Appreciation Dinner, whose attendees ranged from Magameri, who was one of the first to train under you, to the latest recruits in the kitchen. Even after you retired, you still offered a helping hand to the young Kenyans who approached you. Only last year, you found someone a job who contacted you via Facebook. We received a tribute that stated, "Chef died empty, having given everything he had on earth." This made me very sad to read, because the thought of you being empty broke my heart. But I know that this was the only way you would have wanted it. Despite finding it hard to accept, I have to trust that everything you needed me to know, you have already taught me. Daddy, you were also feisty, a man who stood up for himself, your family, your chefs. You also stood up for all those who worked in hotels and were poorly treated by management. You received many visitors to your office in your various kitchens, reaching out to you for advice. Funnily enough, On many occasions, you had the family members of certain managers coming to you for your help and advice. I remember you saying to me once that you knew all the names of all the cleaners at the hotels because without them, you had no restaurants. You treated everyone fairly and equally. I am glad that you have touched so many lives, and your chefs are now passing on your values because the world needs more people like you. Daddy, you really were unique, one of a kind, and completely irreplaceable. You were a pioneer and a visionary. Your legacy will live on forever. What you achieved on your own is more than remarkable. You lived to share your knowledge and provided all those who trained with you a better future. Cooking was in your blood. We would often find you watching cooking programs, reading cooking books, and chef autobiographies, and traveling the globe, funded by yourself to work in your peers' kitchens for your continuous learning. I even found some notes last week in an old notebook with different menu ideas. You were constantly wanting to create. An even bigger passion than cooking was your desire to see people fulfill their dreams by giving them a helping hand. Once, when one of your chefs messed up, the management told you to fire him straight away. You firmly believed that kitchen staff were to be dealt with by you, and that was something you did in a correct manner. You refused to fire him, gave him a second chance, and he is now executive chef at a large establishment in Nairobi. You were always willing to give someone a second chance. One of your chefs told me, he gave me a chance when no one else would. This same chef told me that he once asked you how he could repay you. Your reply was that the only repayment you wanted was for your teachings to be passed on. I can affirm that your chefs are honouring this request. You lived by the mantra firm but fair, and you were always fair. I once asked Penina if she was scared when she first started working for us, and she said yes. Bwana used to scare me, but I know it was because he wanted me to learn, and she has lived to tell the tale 34 years on and is still very much part of our family. There were a few chefs that you had to fire, but whenever you would bump into them, they would still always show you respect because they knew the firing was down to them and not you. I remember once when you stopped at a junction and the matatu conductor shouted out, "Chef Mullan," one of your old guys who hadn't quite managed to stand the heat of the kitchen. Luckily for you, to ease your pain in the Nairobi traffic, he waved you on in front of him. The battles you had with the management at various hotels were stresses that only Mum, Georgia, and I really saw. You weren't scared of telling them to fuck off, but it did take its toll. I truly believe that people couldn't quite handle your raw talent, your charisma, your cheeky wit, and your charm. I read a quote once that said, "Jealousy is a good indication that you are doing things right. People don't get jealous of losers." You paid airfares from your own pocket for you and the lads to travel to competitions when management refused to help, which you mostly always returned with gold medals. You battled the accountants who wanted to cut cost, which baffled you. How were you to create magic with low-cost ingredients? Yet somehow you managed. For many years in the early 90s, you also provided 3 meals a week to 3 AIDS orphanages in Nairobi to feed the mums and children using the food that would have gone to waste, and you also provided them with a Christmas cake every year. You did this for many years, but sadly this ended when the management accused you of theft. This was a sad day for you and many who relied on those meals. Daddy, please rest assured that this was always a story Georgia and I were very fond of, and it speaks volumes. You worked with some questionable characters. However, the company you absolutely loved working for was Block Hotels. The Block family was very dear to your heart. The love and respect was mutual. You remained very close to Mr. and Mrs. Rabb, a name Georgia and I always called her, despite Mrs. Rabb always insisting we call her Ruth. I remember you telling me about when Tubby told you he was trading in your old Datsun for a new one. You politely thanked him and said there was nothing wrong with your current Datsun. Tubby remarked, "I suppose you would like a Mercedes." You smiled, and the next day your Mercedes was waiting for you. You not only put Kenya on the culinary roadmap, but you changed the food scene globally, with your chefs working on every continent. Whenever your chefs trained at establishments such as the Savoy, Ritz, Simpsons in the UK, the Oriental in Bangkok, Raffles in Singapore, to name a few, the feedback was always positive, and they would always be welcomed back. Their success, however, came at a price. This price was that Mum, Georgia, and I missed out on your presence at home. We often came to eat at the chef's table or on the Delamere Terrace in order to spend time with you. The hotels were a second home for us, but nothing could make up for you being at home with us. I remember Sundays were often for chicken curries, roast dinners, your famous Irish stew, and Sunday evening was never complete without cheese on toast. In more recent years, I remember when I told you I was going vegan, you promptly ignored me and served me chicken for dinner on my first evening back home. However, when you realized that I was being serious about it, thereafter, there was always a delicious vegan option waiting for me at every meal. Despite being a one-man band, you always had the backing and love from Mum, Georgia, and me. This love will never fade, and we will love you forever, Daddy. I remember your rare nights off coincided with Chelsea matches. Georgia and I loved the nights when Mum happened to be out. You were in watching a match, which meant we got to stay up later than usual to watch it with you. You taught us all the rules. One game that will forever stay with me was England v Germany in the Euros 1996 final. But let's not say any more about that match. When Mum's car was heard coming up the drive, we would then run upstairs and pretend to be asleep. Daddy, Georgia, and I will continue to support Chelsea for you. Sorry, lads. Daddy, not only have you left a huge void in the world, but more so in my heart. It will never be filled by your presence, but in time I hope I can fill it with all the wonderful memories we shared. You carrying me on your shoulders when we walked from Safari Beach to Nomads, then Georgia on the way back. Sharing your beloved licorice all sorts with us, despite knowing that we didn't really like them and we were just being greedy. Our trip to Mauritius, when Georgia took a photo of you on the sunbed and you said, "Don't waste the film." Our day out in London for George's 16th when you dragged us around the kitchen shop before arriving at Planet Hollywood famished. Valentine's Day when you would buy Mum a large bouquet of flowers and 2 smaller ones for Georgia and me. Caviar on toast that you would make for Mum every Mother's Day for breakfast. We certainly were the best fed kids at the French school. Your weekly menus that you used to send to me and Georgia, and the title was always, "Who's for dinner?" to which we would reply with our menu choice for the week. The time you reversed into the tree and blamed me because I was talking, we had to agree to disagree who was at fault on that one. Eating waffles at your cafe, Fat Alice, the Motown Cafe in Kenyatta Avenue. Times when I would be walking around my local supermarket on the phone to you and you would be running me through ingredients I needed for a meal I wanted to cook that evening. You were far more helpful than Google. I will miss our conversations, putting the world to rights, your sound advice, and me telling you about my crystals and Reiki healing energy sessions, which we laughed about. I know you never believed in all that, as you would say, bullshit. But you still said, if that makes you happy, baby, that's great. But for me, Daddy, what I will miss the most are your stories. You had amazing stories. I always wanted to hear one more, which you always honoured. My favourite one was when you stole the exam papers to sell on. You have always been cheeky, Daddy. You were so uniquely different and proud to be. And like you used to say to me, if people don't like you, fuck 'em. Since you left, the outpouring of tributes has shown how much you were loved and respected. We have received simply thousands of messages. You not only created a team in your kitchens, but these turned into your family, who have now become family to the 3 of us. Daddy, you would be proud of the love and support shown to Mum, Georgia, and me. A true credit to you that the chefs are truly living your values. You protected us when you were here, and now even when you are gone, you have left a family to look after us. As they call themselves, Mullan's boys. They not only respected you as a chef, a mentor, a friend, but you were a father figure to them. How often we would come home to find many of your chefs talking on the veranda with you, or when they would come over to borrow kitchen equipment for their competitions, which you truly encouraged. Aside from the colourful language, yes, chef, were 2 words heard all the time in your kitchen. Mum recalls a time when you and she were talking and one of your chefs walked past who had not been part of the conversation. You turned to him and said, "Am I right?" To which the only possible reply came, "Yes, chef." 2 weeks ago, I asked one of your chefs if it annoyed him to have to agree with you, even if you were wrong. His reply was, "Chef was never wrong." They were always loyal to you, and I was told once that there was no greater honour for a chef than to be given the keys of your car to collect either me or Georgia. Not many people can do in several lifetimes what you have done in one. Your sheer strength and resilience were unique to you. You were so proud of the chef's achievements and often told us all about them. How many times we had to say, "We've heard this story before, Daddy, but what I wouldn't give to hear just one more again." My memories of you are now my most prized possessions, and they will forever remain in my heart. I was grateful that I got to spend your last 2 weeks with you. Those 2 weeks will forever remain in my heart. They were filled with kisses, cuddles, and the endless times I told you that I love you. Even towards your last days, you were still your cheeky self. When asked in the ambulance by the nurse how old you were, in true Eamon style, you replied with, "None of your fucking business." I will miss your smile, your laugh, your generosity, your guidance. This is truly something I'm going to find hard, because no one gives advice like you. It was direct, correct, and mixed with a ton of compassion. Just like your recipes, you had just the right ingredients. And yes, Daddy, a big thumbs up. You were right. I will miss your cooking, my all-time favourite being your tomato soup and creamed spinach. But most of all, I miss you. You were truly one in a million. How lucky I am to be able to call you Daddy. Daddy, my words can never do justice for you, for what you have done for me and so many. I promise to carry on your values, your correctness, your compassion, your fairness, and I will continue to stand up for myself and others and tell people where to go if need be. Thank you from the bottom of my now broken heart for everything that you gave and shared with me, mainly your guidance and love. I know that I will never be alone. On earth, you had a moustache, but in heaven, you now have wings. I love you, Daddy, with all my heart and a pinch more, always.
Thank you, Kira, for those loving words and cherished memories that you've shared with us. Now, before we finalize and play this last song, which is Angels, and appropriately as mentioned by Kira, I would like to take this opportunity and on behalf of Leslie to thank particularly all the people who have helped Leslie in this very difficult period and in preparing for this memorial service today. In particular, I would like to single out, because I know he has been of tremendous help, and I know that Leslie would be particular in wishing me to mention it was the help that she has received from Stanley Marangi. Stanley, thank you very, very much for all your help and assistance. On behalf of Leslie and Georgia and Kira, we thank you for your attendance. We hope that you have listened and felt the pride that they all feel in this person who's left us, because we certainly do. He was a person to be remembered, and he has left a legacy that is incredible, absolutely incredible. And on behalf of Leslie, Georgia, and Kira, and at the end of this particular part of the service, which will be a song, they invite you to join them for drinks and refreshments afterwards. So during this last song of Angels, Leslie and Kira will leave. So, but I would ask you please to allow Leslie and Kira to depart outside, and at your time, and then leisurely, you can follow them out and we can join them outside to express personal condolences. And now, finally, let's listen to this last song, Angels.
I sit and wait, doesn't mean contact. I've been told that salvation lets their wings unfold. So when I'm lying in my bed, thoughts running through my head, and I feel like love is dead, I'm alive.
Thank you.